You're preparing for an important interview but feel worried because you're not confident in your English yet? Don't worry. Welcome to Learning English HTC, where we help you conquer every interview in English with ease. Get ready. Let's get started now.
Good morning, David. Thank you for coming in today. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Jack. I'm doing well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today.
That's great to hear. I've read through your resume. You've just graduated from university, right? Tell me a bit about your academic background and why you chose civil engineering.
Yes, I graduated from the University of Civil Engineering last year. I've always been fascinated by how cities are built. Bridges, buildings, and infrastructure. I wanted to be part of something tangible and long-lasting. That's why I chose this field.
That's a solid reason. Let's talk a bit about your technical knowledge. Can you explain the difference between a load-bearing wall and a non-load-bearing wall?
Sure. A load-bearing wall supports the weight of elements above it, like the roof or floors, and transfers the load to the foundation. A non-load-bearing wall, on the other hand, is mainly for partitioning space and doesn't carry any structural load.
Good. In terms of construction materials, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using reinforced concrete over structural steel in high-rise buildings?
Reinforced concrete is cost-effective and has good compressive strength. It's also fire-resistant and has lower maintenance, but it's heavier and construction takes more time. Structural steel is lighter, allows faster construction, and offers higher strength-to-weight ratio, but it's more expensive and requires fireproofing.
Let's say you are part of a team designing a mid-rise office building. What structural system would you consider using and why?
I'd follow relevant codes like TCVN or Eurocode, apply load combinations carefully, and optimize cross-section dimensions. I'd also collaborate closely with MEP and architectural teams to avoid over-design.
How would you ensure that your design is both structurally safe and economically efficient?
Yes, I visited a residential project in my third year. It was a valuable experience. I observed how foundations were poured, how rebar was tied, and the sequencing of formwork and concrete casting.
Have you had the chance to visit any real construction sites during your studies?
For a mid-rise office building, I would consider using reinforced concrete frame with shear walls. It provides good lateral stability against wind and seismic forces, and is cost-effective for buildings in the 5 to 15-story range.
Good. Safety is a key concern on site. Can you name some common construction hazards and how they can be mitigated?
Common hazards include falling from height, being struck by falling objects, and electrical risks. To mitigate, we must ensure proper scaffolding, wear PPE like helmets and harnesses, and follow electrical safety standards.
Imagine a scenario. Your supervisor asks you to check the reinforcement at a beam location, but you notice the bar spacing is tighter than in the drawing. What would you do?
I'd double-check the drawing and then communicate with the site supervisor to clarify if it was a mistake or an approved modification. If it's a mistake, I'd report it to the structural engineer before pouring concrete.
Sounds like you're detail-oriented. Let me ask, How do you handle stress or pressure when you're faced with a tight deadline on site?
I try to break the tasks into smaller goals and prioritize based on impact. If needed, I'll ask for help from teammates. I believe communication is key under pressure.
Thanks, David. One final question. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years in the construction industry?
I hope to become a licensed civil engineer, gain site experience, and work my way toward becoming a project engineer or design lead. I'm open to learning both on-site and in the office.
Great mindset. We'll review your application and get back to you soon. Thanks again for your time.
Welcome to the second sample interview questions for sales staff.
Hi, David. Thanks for coming today. Before we begin, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, Jack. Thank you for having me. My name is David. I'm 23 years old, and I've just graduated from the University of Civil Engineering. I majored in structural engineering, and during my studies, I focused on courses such as concrete structures, soil mechanics, and construction project management.
Great. Since you're a recent graduate, I understand you haven't had industry experience yet, but I'm interested in hearing more about your academic projects. Can you share one that you're most proud of?
Sure. In my final year, I worked on a team project, designing a 10-story reinforced concrete building. We used ETABS for structural analysis and AutoCAD for drafting. I was responsible for load calculations and checking structural safety according to Vietnamese building codes.
Let's talk about design codes. What design standards or codes are you familiar with?
I'm most familiar with Vietnamese standards TCVN, but I've also read parts of Eurocode and ACI 318 during my thesis research.
Good. Can you explain the difference between dead load and live load in a structure?
Sure. Dead load refers to the permanent static weight of the structure itself, including walls, floors, roofs, etc. Live load includes temporary or movable forces, like people, furniture, or vehicles, depending on the structure's use.
What are some common causes of structural failure in concrete buildings?
Some causes include poor material quality, insufficient reinforcement, design miscalculations, or construction errors like improper curing or poor formwork. Overloading and seismic activity can also be contributing factors.
Can you briefly describe the steps involved in the structural design process?
Yes. First, we gather project requirements and site conditions. Then, we propose a structural concept and choose a structural system. Next, we calculate loads and analyze the structure using software. After that, we design structural elements such as beams, columns, slabs, and foundations. Finally, we prepare construction drawings and documentation.
Have you worked with any software like AutoCAD, Revit, or ETABS?
Yes, I've used AutoCAD extensively for 2D drafting and ETABS for structural analysis. I also did a basic course in Revit to understand BIM modeling, but I'd love to improve my skills in that area.
Let's talk about how you work with others. In your academic projects, how did you handle conflict or disagreements in the team?
We had a disagreement once about load distribution in our design. I suggested we recheck the calculations together and consult our professor. In the end, it was a misunderstanding, and open communication helped solve it.
That's a good approach. In the construction industry, deadlines are critical. How do you manage your time when you have multiple tasks?
I usually list tasks in order of priority and set deadlines for each. I use tools like Trello or even Google Calendar to stay organized. During busy periods, I focus on urgent tasks first, but always try to keep track of long-term goals too.
Why do you want to work in the construction consulting field instead of construction sites directly?
I enjoy the planning and design phase. I like solving technical problems and ensuring structures are both safe and efficient. I believe working in a consulting firm like HTC would allow me to contribute to various types of projects and learn from experienced engineers.
Let me tell you a bit about HTC. We specialize in structural design, architecture, and project consulting for both public and private clients. We emphasize team collaboration, mentorship, and continuing education. How do you see yourself growing in such an environment?
That's exactly the kind of environment I'm looking for. I hope to start as a junior engineer, improve my technical skills, and gradually take on more responsibilities. Eventually, I'd like to be able to manage small design packages independently.
Sounds promising. We provide training for new graduates, especially in practical design and site coordination. Would you be open to working closely with senior engineers and learning through real projects?
Absolutely. I'm eager to learn and understand that real-world experience is key to professional growth.
Thanks for sharing, David. You've shown great potential and a solid academic foundation. Before we wrap up, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to ask what the typical onboarding process looks like for fresh graduates at HTC.
We usually assign a mentor to help new hires get familiar with our systems and processes. You'll be given a small part of a project to work on under supervision. We aim to give hands-on experience from day one.
That sounds great. I really appreciate the opportunity to interview today.
Thank you for coming, David. We'll get back to you soon. Best of luck and keep developing your skills. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope these tips will help you feel more confident in your English interviews. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any valuable content in the future.